Scott is using his recommended by John Byrne special. What is? I wish I had one of those things.
It's
That's
a
a.
it's called a drafting machine.
I tell you what, Scott whips out a grid
Ooh.
like nobody's business because that thing makes it easy. I mean, it's
It
probably makes it orthograph or not orthograph. Yeah, I guess that's the
a
word
little
orthograph.
bit. It'll do so. Okay, so I've talked about this on the show before. Let me get it where you can see it. This is a drafting machine. It has two arms on it. This hub turns if you unlock it, and
Mm-hmm.
so it rotates. So you can use this to do a perspective grid.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'll show you here when I'm at that point. Um, it is super handy. I'm not gonna lie.
You don't
It
usually mess with 3 point though, do you? You usually make it just two
Not
2 point.
usually.
Okay.
Not I do occasionally though, but
Okay.
it's now what's going to trip me up is I've got my paper taped down really good, and you can only do ooh, that was wavy. You can only do one grid or one line because the point will be over here, so I'll have to untape the paper and flip it around.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, yeah.
But I mean that's no big deal. But yes, I had one of these. Well, I'd heard about them. I must have heard about the time, or I must have got one about the time I heard about them because I would have wanted one had I not had one. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But on one of the forums, John Byrne was talking about he uses one, and it's not really everyone. Everyone, well, I shouldn't say everyone. It's not magic. I mean, it doesn't do anything a ruler can't do,
No,
or
it's just like anything. It's a tool that you wonder how you lived without it when you have a really good tool. I
I tell
mean,
you what, though, normally I would just do this with a ruler, and I've drawn so much perspective stuff. I almost don't use a vanishing point. I mean, because you
mhm.
kind of know if you've done a
Oh
lot of
yeah, no,
perspective.
that is the way to. If you want to learn perspective, don't worry about that so much as worry about your knowledge of photo lenses, because that's what perspective is. It's saying how much information distorts that fits in what a typical eyeball sees, and you don't have much distortion that comes in your eyeball. There's uh, you're like about a 40 millimeter lens or something like that. You just aren't getting the kind of things that come up as distortions when you uh, do perspectives that are off. That have the points too close together and stuff like that.
Well, and you can still do that with this. This is not this the, and you can
Oh
still
yeah,
do it
oh
with a
yeah, oh yeah.
ruler
Hmm.
actually.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Uh,
But if you're
you
doing it
just
freehand, though, you'll just
yeah. Well,
intuitively do it, and that's a lot of what you come along with. Do all your work freehand, then come along and check yourself here and there.
well, I tell you, I told somebody this. I posted this recently because I posted a drawing I did when I went downtown of just buildings and stuff. And I said, if you want to learn perspective, or maybe it was a restaurant where somewhere I did a drawing, and it was perspective, but it wasn't drawn. I mean, I didn't use a ruler or anything. I just drew it. But I know where if you figure out where the horizon line is, and that's what this line right here is,
Sure, yeah, yeah,
then you can and you just figure out what is above it, but draw from observation, and that'll help you figure.
yeah.
If you draw from observation with the idea of how perspective works, it'll help you
Well,
learn perspective.
Kim, yeah, yeah. Well, doing a lot of live drawing. Kim Chung Gi, of course, his whole thing was about if you can put a bounding box around it, you can draw it. And
Yeah.
he was just a guy that you could say, oh, he does great perspective. He's able to freehand great perspective without even having to check on it because his boxes agree with the world he's creating. You know.
Right. And when he's drawing, he's thinking about where
Yeah.
the horizon line is. It's all
Uh
about
huh.
where the horizon
Oh
line
yeah.
is.
Yeah, man.
Have you checked out any of those Tom Fox Draws videos?
Uh-uh. Checked them out.
Uh, oh,
Is
I
that a
sent you
library
the. I
item?
thought no. Check that out on YouTube
Okay.
or on
Okay.
Instagram.
Okay. When you say check out, I think of the library.
I Hey, sorry.
Hey, look, I was just telling Dan that I would be all for coming on with your icon just being the only thing you had.
Oh, and there he is. Hey, Dan's
Yeah.
on.
Hey
Yeah.
guys, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good.
Pretty good, Dan.
I was gonna say I don't have an icon, but I also didn't want to I didn't know if there's any way to disable my camera because I didn't want to take away from the artwork because I'm loving the
No,
stuff.
no,
You
that's
Oh,
all right.
that's either way. It's fine. You're good, Dan.
YouTube has supplied you with or I guess it's probably StreamYard
Yeah,
supplies you
you
with
got a
a
nice little
generic.
eyeball looking
Yeah.
icon, or I don't know what that is. It's a circle with a
Just
person in it.
yeah, it is an eyeball. It's the highlights on typically appear on the pupil, but it's a person.
I was gonna say if I had an icon picture, it'd probably be Doberman from the Phil Silver show. That would be appropriate.
Ah, I'm trying to
Well,
remember him.
your icon on Facebook is Burt Reynolds, isn't it?
Well, it's Burt Reynolds as the Mandalorian and Baby Yoda with a Burt Reynolds mustache.
Ah,
Oh, okay. I'll have to look it on something besides my phone then. Apparently.
yeah. You people that never get off that phone and get all their media on their phone have got maybe some twisted ideas of what they're seeing.
Hey, Dan, thank you for letting me draw your comic, man.
Oh, dude, thank you for drawing it. You're killing it. Like I said,
I'm
I'm
having a
loving the stuff I'm
blast.
seeing. Yeah. Did you see the picture I sent you? Kevin starting the inks on page 1.
No, I didn't see it.
Wow,
Did you
you guys
email
are
it to
inking it
me?
already, huh?
I sent it to you by Facebook. It's on Facebook Messenger. He's
Oh,
going
okay.
for. Oh, I'm sorry. He's going for like the manga look.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll have to check it out. I've used my phone for a camera, so I can't check it out now, but I'll definitely check it out.
No problem.
Well, that'll be cool. Having a kind of a manga filter run on your pencils. I think this may be very interesting, Scott.
It already is very interesting, and I can't wait to see what he's done. I'm just having a ball drawing this. I'm treating it like almost like a Bronze Age kind of comic. Like
Mm-hmm.
like the Black Cricket is like no offense, a second string Marvel character or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that in the best way too. And
No problem.
I'm really enjoying it. I really am. It's fun. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Well, he'd be a step up from my favorite character of the old Tower comics, Weed. Apparently,
Weed was the
yeah.
marijuana man.
It was yeah, exactly. It was
Oh, he was.
it was Wally Wood's contribution, where the guy apparently his only power was he always had a cigarette in his mouth.
Oh,
And that was his name, Weed.
was it a marijuana cigarette or?
No, it's just a cigarette.
Oh, okay, it's tobacco.
It's probably Wood doing himself. What if I was a superhero?
What if I was a superhero? He'd have good aim.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, that was close range. Yeah.
Well, no, Scott, I did want to say, no, again, what you said about being like a second Marvel character, it's actually that's a great compliment for the character. And I'll be honest with you, if I'm drawing inspiration from anything, it's probably my all-time favorite comic book run of all time. And I say this as a guy who considers himself a DC boy. I've been a DC boy since I was 7 years old. But the best comic book run of all time, has got to be Stan and Steve's run on Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
And
you're preaching to the choir here, man.
It's great stuff.
but we're
Absolutely.
I don't want to give away too much, but Scott, you've already read the second chapter. There's a lot of foreshadowing. The main villain's already been introduced, and a character that's going to be in true manga fashion. It's going to be they start out as a bad guy and then eventually start kind of becoming more of an anti-hero, and you find out there's a lot of backstory behind them about why they do what they do. So it's this is actually a series I've been playing in the back of my head for like 10 years, and
Oh, good grief.
I've made notes about, and I actually know part of what the end game is going to be, and it's either going to be the series finale or it's going to be like a major stopping point before like a time jump or something. So
That gestation period, it's got a mind of its own. How long something must all of a sudden asserts itself as I must do this.
exactly.
Yes.
And Scott and I were talking last night a little bit, and we I think we're on the same page as far as God's hand in this, and I can definitely put God's hand in this. That Scott brought me to this project at just the right time, so it's good matching, I think.
Very cool, man.
Yeah, it was interesting, and I kind of alluded to this a little bit in our conversation, but it's hard to sometimes kind of put this stuff into Facebook Messenger. But yeah, I mean, so I did the comics Heaven's Rejects, and it was a good comic. But there was it didn't sell. We had some issues with the publisher. Not that they were bad or anything, but we didn't really have they didn't really. I don't think they looked out for the book quite like I would hope. I was hoping they were going to, and we didn't. They opted to not collect it into a trade, and I was very disappointed at that. And I'll be honest with you, I'd worked on that book for a long time, and I really, at the point that I got the book, I was just like, I was frustrated because I had worked on an anthology book, and I thought somebody really butchered my pencils. I'd actually inked it. Ellis knows that. Ellis has seen this. I'd inked it, and the colorist went in and changed some of my inks. I mean, to the point of like changing entire panels and stuff in a very obvious way, and I was just frustrated with it. And so I got the opportunity to work on this. I was introduced basically at New York Comic Con. The publisher kind of hooked me up with the writer, and we worked on the book. He came up with the book, and we worked on it. And I worked on it for a while. Well, then it was going to be done in 2020, and I was hoping to go to San Diego Comic Con in 2020. Well, that wasn't going to happen, and then the con got canceled, of course. And so, yeah,
You know
with
what?
everything.
I really, in some alternate universe, that con wasn't canceled, and the virus just got herd immunity right there at that spot, at that moment.
San Diego. Well, so early on in 2020, I discovered they told me, well, the book won't be ready, and I'm like, well, I'm done with my part. It's like, well, it's got to be colored and it's got to go on the schedule. So it set, and it took a year to get colored. It took another 6 months to get put on the schedule, and so it finally came out in the fall of 2022. And I said, hey. I'm thinking about going to New York Comic Con, or is anybody, or will you have the book there? And they said, well, we don't know if we'll have copies of it. And it came out in September, but they were like, well, we don't know if we don't know if there'll be copies in our warehouse that we can take by the time we leave, or something like that. Anyway, which was fine. I mean, I get it. They got to do what they got to do, but the whole time I was working on that book, I thought, because I kept running into stuff where they would say, well, first they told me we had to have one issue done before they'd publish it. And then they said, well, you got to have 2 issues done. Then they said, we got to have the whole thing done. And so they kind of kept moving the goalpost down the road on me a little bit. And I was kind of frustrated, not with them, but just like, if this doesn't work, if this doesn't get published, I was like, I don't know if I have the energy to work on something else.
Yeah.
And then it came out, and I was like, if this fails, I don't know if I don't know, not the energy, but just the mental energy, just the willpower to keep going.
Well, it's
such
like
a grind.
well,
And
it's
so,
like, go ahead.
let me finish. Ellis.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know you had.
No. I'm. So anyway, so then I found out in December that they were not gonna collect Heaven's Rejects, and that was the thing all along. Is I was like, because the publisher has a deal with Simon and Schuster, and it would be in bookstores, and it's like this could be this kind of ongoing thing, and it's like no, and there's no, I don't think they ever offered it for sale on their website. There's just, and it just really took the whole thing just took the wind out of my sails, and I was frustrated because they wouldn't give me answers. They wouldn't talk to me, and I really got frustrated, and I thought, and this goes to what you and I were talking about. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I was kind of working on some ideas for my own stuff. And I started reading all these scriptures that talked about being patient and waiting on God, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna draw what I want to draw, just kind of do some stuff in my sketchbook maybe, and something will come up, And then sure enough, out of the blue, which I think we had talked about doing something before, like Christmas, I think. But then
we're talking about doing something for AP, for Anarch Press, like one of the Planet Comics or Jungle Comics or something, and then
one of their anthologies, which I've done a lot of anthology stuff, but then you out of the blue you sent me this, and I guess the original artist had quit. Is that what happened?
My buddy Josh Holly, he's one that if you go to Scott's Facebook page, I tagged him on a post that shows the 2-page origin that Josh did. Josh had some work that came up with some other companies and such, and some other projects came up that he wanted to work on. And I was disappointed, of course, because I like I said, I've known Josh for about 4 or 5 years, and we worked together on Golden Kid Comics. But I understood, and I told him before, at one point he had said that when he would get a chance to get around to it, he'd try to do it. It was just had these other things. And like I said, I saw your artwork, and I remember you posting on the Anarch Press Fanatics page about wanting a script, and I was just like, let's see what we can do. So I said, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, how many of these guys probably saw your offer to draw their stories and are kicking themselves now when they're seeing this Black Cricket stuff going, I could have been working with this man. So I'm like, yes, I consider myself a very lucky person. So thank you again, because dude, you're
thank you. Well, this is perfect because I love comics, but really my true love in comics really is superhero comics. And a lot of people that do independent stuff are like, I want to do, they want to do other things. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's certainly a place for that, but I mean, that's what I grew up reading, and that's what I love. And when I was a kid, I dreamed of being, drawing something for Marvel Comics. And I've come to the sad conclusion that the Marvel Comics that I loved as a kid no longer exist.
No.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, so to me, this is cool because I've realized that comics is not the path to wealth. I mean, there are people that make money in comics, but not really, not a lot.
Not anymore. No, that was that was a very one-time get in now kind of moment.
Well, I think there are some
Malibu
people. I mean, there's always people that make a little, and they'll make money on commissions and stuff. But my thing is like, man, I got a good job. I don't really, I'm not hurting for money. In fact, I would say just based on what I've heard, I probably wouldn't be able to work for Marvel because I don't think I could take the pay cut. So,
Yeah, unfortunately.
and so, but the flip side of that is the freedom that realization gives me is like, oh, I can work on whatever I want to work on,
Mm-hmm.
and so Black Cricket scratches a lot of itches for me. Um, and you've been very, when you sent me those pages, I think you sent me the pages before the script, but I said, I don't really draw like that. And you're like, no, you just draw. And every time I've said, well, here's like a manga, like I drew the characters with kind of big eyes, and you're like, no, just draw it like you want to. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, but that's cool. That's been very cathartic for me because I found, I'll show this on the screen. You can't see it. I'll
You
pan up real quick.
want me to give
Nah.
you the only screen?
Nah, but I've
Okay.
got, so this at the top of my drawing desk. I'm keeping this,
Oh yeah.
which I may have showed you this. This is this is my an Avengers sample I drew. Oh gosh, probably about 10 years ago, and I always liked this style, and so I kind of am keeping it up there because that's kind of because what happened is I would draw like this, and I'd go to comic conventions, and people would go, well, and I always had this idea that, well, I need to be drawn and like somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
So here, I don't know if I showed Ellis this. So here, this is a sample. I found this the other day. This is my old business card up here in the corner. That's how I know how old this is. Oh, I guess it's got my stuff there. And I have an AOL account. But this is the sample that I took in like 2003, or one of the handouts I took when I went to Marvel Comics in 2003. And so you can see I was trying to do something with that style, but I kept getting discouraged because people were like, oh, no, your stuff looks, they would say, well, your stuff looks old fashioned or looks like this. And I'd kind of, oh, here's some freelance stuff, but I'd kind of decided to kind of lean into that after Heaven's Rejects came out. I was like, well, I should work on that, and develop that style, the way that I was going before I started listening to people tell me I needed to change the way I draw. And so I keep this on my drawing board too,
Classic.
because yeah, Ellis has seen this, because I look at this and I think, and it's like Keith Pollard and Jim Mooney, and it's like, this to me, this is just like classic comic art. It's not really flashy, and as a kid I probably didn't appreciate it, but as an adult I'm like, okay, it's just real solid drawing and stuff. The action is all there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a artist that I appreciate now that I didn't appreciate when I was a kid. Keith is definitely one of them. Jim Mooney, when he was doing pencils. Don Heck.
Oh yeah.
But you
I
look
just
at it
picked
now,
up the Don Heck book.
Yeah, but these guys were solid artists. I mean,
as a guy that was a DC guy, did you even really appreciate Jack Kirby? Because I know I'm more like a DC guy too, and a Gold Key guy. And I looked at Kirby as like, that guy, because obviously he was on everything, and it was like, yeah, I can live without him. And now, of course, I think he's God, basically. He just was so good. I appreciate him on so many levels as an artist now.
I was lucky because the first exposure I really had to Jack was the reprint books that they did. When I was a kid, they had the pocket-sized reprints of Fantastic Four 1-6, and
oh yeah.
And I always thought that was like the best Kirby artwork right there, because it was back when Jack still had his own personality, but he wasn't having to crank out 4 or 5 books a month. Yeah. And so, I mean, I love Jack's work now, but I always point to like Avengers #2. There's the picture of the Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man, and it's the most god ugly thing I have ever seen because Hulk looks awful, and
He
the poster
produced
is
some
great.
ugly artwork. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
No.
But when he was first starting out, like that's the one right there, Scott. Yeah,
This is the one. This is
but the artwork is beautiful in there.
oh yeah. This is
I mean,
great.
that's Kirby at his best before he really started having to become the workhorse for Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
I agree.
And have you guys ever seen Sky Masters?
Sky Masters. Yeah, I think I have. Is that his Boy's Life thing?
Oh well, it's
No,
the
no,
comics.
it's his newspaper thing.
Okay.
Yes, with inks by Wally Wood, and I've also got like the Challengers of the Unknown when Wally was inking him there, and that's
right.
some of the best work. Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah, that's great stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, Challenge of the Unknown. That went deep into me. Yeah, and I didn't even know I was looking at Kirby when I was taking that in.
And I do
Okay,
apologize.
Dan,
I wanted to apologize if anybody out there thinks I was dissing Kirby. I'm not, because like I said, Jack is the best. I love his work. I love the universe he created.
Oh yeah.
And I always tell people when people talk about there's a great story Jack had about some young kid talking about I want to do Fantastic Four and I want to do comics the way you did them, Jack. And Jack's like, if you want to make comics like I did, go out and make your own universe.
yeah.
Oh, dude, I
Yes.
saw the picture. Yes, again, that's an awesome page story, man. I love that.
Okay, so I have a question.
Oh, that's
Ellis, I don't know if
great,
you saw
Scott.
this.
That's great.
You didn't see, that's right. You're on Facebook, so you didn't see
I'm
this.
not
I
on
post this on Instagram. So I have a question, Dan.
Yes.
On page 4, Emily wipes her glasses. Do I need a drawer wearing glasses?
We could.
I can add them.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. That's
I
no, Scott, you gotta go back and redraw the whole thing again. I want it all redrawn.
I know I'm safe on the first 2 because they're at the inkers. So
no, that's cool. That's cool.
I got to tell you something, Dan. I think it was on page 4. Yeah, on page 4, or maybe it was page 5. One of the pages he talks about his dad, and oh no, it was page 5. Page 5 really got to me because I lost my father in 2021, and so it was kind of an emotional moment reading that script,
Well, bless you, Scott. Thank you.
I think it spoke to this this kind of core that, and I don't know if your parents are still alive or not, but I think it really, him talking about his father and Emily talking about, your dad was proud of you, don't ever feel this way, that sort of thing. And I think it kind of spoke to this idea that I think most, I'll say boys or men or whatever we want to call ourselves, you kind of grow up with this idea of, am I making my parents proud?
Remember your father's face. That was, I think, in The Gunslinger.
Oh yeah.
Say, think of your father.
Well, I will be honest.
Be your best.
I'm turning 53 this year, and I lost my dad when I was 13 years old.
Oh, okay.
My dad's been gone for going on 40 years now. But
oh man,
that is one of the things that drives my decisions sometimes about choices I'll make as far as like stories I want to tell or even decisions I made in my life. I'm always like, would this make me the kind of person my dad would have wanted to be his friend?
Mm-hmm.
Would my dad have been proud of me for making this choice?
Mm-hmm.
And
that's great as a governor.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I'm happy about the success with the comics is my parents never discouraged me. I mean, my dad bought me comic books because they were cheaper than toys. he thought he was getting off light with just like a 35-cent or a 40-cent comic book. And God love him. God love him. He was a great guy. He encouraged me in comics, but he had lousy taste in comic books because I'd always get Archie or Richie Rich. And my mom was like, no, he likes Spider-Man. He likes Batman better. But they never discouraged me. And my only hope would be, my mom lived long enough to see me get my first work published, and
Oh, that's
she got
good.
she got to live long enough for me to get hired as a gag writer on Dennis the Menace, so she was able to brag about that.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That,
Now
that, that's,
you,
that's funny. I brought up Hank Ketchum just the other day, wondering who influenced the Hernandez bros, or not Hernandez, yeah, I guess so. The guys who did Mr. X.
well, I think Mario did. I think it was Mario. You're talking about the, what was it? Love and Rockets.
11 Rockets. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they did Mr. X also, I think.
Yeah, they did
Yeah.
Mr. X the first
Did
4
they all
issues.
do it or just one of them? Just, I don't know. We had an email conversation with another friend about Love and Rockets
Hmm.
a couple days ago. Ellis had just read the
The Mr. X.
anthology. Was it the anthology? What did you read,
The
Ellis?
first volume 1 of Mr. X, which I've never exposed myself to it before. It's kind of a cool character, and it goes to what you guys have been saying about the business and not being discouraged. The Hernandez brothers didn't get discouraged just because they were completely stiffed on what became just a huge hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think Barry acted like they just weren't paid.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you can't go like that for long. So the 4 issues and they're out, and it's 4 issues of classic comics. But they got out of
Yeah.
it because they can only go with that.
The third person in the discussion, our friend Barry, he was saying that he saw which one did he see? Did he say he saw it at Dallas?
He
Anyway,
said
but
it
they
was
were
in '92. Yeah, I forget who it was.
anyway,
Yeah,
one of them in Dallas. He saw him in Dallas, and they wouldn't sign his Mr. X poster because they hadn't got paid. I mean, they were nice
Yeah.
about it, but they were like, well, "We never got paid for that, so we're
Yeah.
not signing that."
Not passing that up the line, huh?
Yeah, which
Sending that up
it's not
wherever
like
it is.
I don't know.
Of course, that makes it that much more valuable if you could ever get them to sign it. It's like, that's how it's announced on eBay. Say, so and so Hernandez never signs these.
Rarely signed. It's like the actors that never get their picture taken.
Yeah.
When I
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, let's go ahead.
No. I'm just going to say what I was watching on movies and stuff. Go ahead. You whatever you were going to say.
Oh no, I was going to say, was Scott was talking about being discouraged and all, and going back to Jack Kirby, I always think about how Jack got dismissed from DC, and then Atlas, and then look how that turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had to. He
Sometimes
had to have his moments. He had to say, you know what, I'm good enough to go out in the wild again and make my way. That's the way a lot of these guys do. I've got to admit, I became completely crippled by being a wage slave. I had no idea how to ever create a business opportunity for myself. I just said, "Can you give me a job? I'll take a job." That's all I can
you're
think
like
of.
a lot of artists, Ellis.
Yeah.
They're it seems like they either don't, well, I don't know. It seems like a lot of artists don't understand how money works or something. I don't know.
Well, I kind of understand how it works. If I propinquity. Never mind. Just by being close to someone is the only way I've ever advanced myself in any way. And I was around a bunch of hard chargers that said, "Come on with us, Ellis," and that's the only reason I ever got around anything. Yeah, that's the only reason I ever got
funny.
anything.
When Ellis retired, so you mentioned you're 53. I'm 55. Ellis is older.
Almost, yeah. I'm 69. Got a half year to 70. It's pretty terrifying, actually. No, it's good. I like it.
When Ellis retired, so Ellis moved back to Oklahoma, and he kind of bounced around at a couple jobs, and then he ended up uh, uh, shuttling. We were shuttling rental cars for
Yeah,
a rental
Avis.
car place,
Hmm.
and basically, was that part time or was that full time?
The as full time as anybody was allowed to be back then. All those companies shifted you to hours to where they didn't have to do any medical and stuff like
I
that.
got you.
I think it's like 20 hours or something like that that you could have.
So yeah. Anyway, so Ellis, when Ellis finally reached, I guess you must. Were you 62? Was it that long ago?
Yeah,
When Ellis
well,
reached,
it was that
when
long
Ellis,
ago, and yeah,
God, that's crazy. I can't believe I've known you that long.
yeah.
The when the when Ellis hit 62, he retired, and I remember one of the first things he told me is, he said, "Well, my natural state is not to be employed."
Oh, my natural preference, yeah, is to,
Oh, your natural
eh,
preference, sorry.
yeah, is to,
Which terrifies me because I'm like, I need to have a job, which I
well,
mean, my wife has a good job,
you
but
need work, and I have always needed work, but I didn't need to,
punch a clock.
yeah, punch a clock. Uh, I'm reading this great book by Stephen Pressfield called Government Cheese, a memoir, and it's like his book, The War of Art, and I think you should read it, Scott. You'll really enjoy it. The library's got it.
I was gonna say, did you get it from the library?
Yeah, from the library.
I'll check it out.
It is very
By
good.
the way, Ellis and I live in the same town. In case you didn't,
Yeah.
at the
cool.
other side of town, but yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Where
that's how
are
I
you guys
met
from?
Oklahoma City.
Awesome.
No, it's
Yeah,
great.
where do you
Oklahoma
live,
City is
Dan?
great. Yeah, where do you live?
Oh, I'm originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, and I'm living in Burlington, North Carolina now.
I think I remember you mentioning North
Yeah,
Carolina
I
as
think that
the
sounds
spot to
familiar.
be.
Yeah, I'm a
You
Tar
were gonna
Heel.
say Ellis, Oklahoma City's nice because of what?
It's a people repellent. If you want to have very few people around you, there's very few people to choose this as a place to live because of like what we had recently here, that doggone wind
Oh, the
tried
wind
to
was terrible
blow
today.
everything to kingdom come.
Yeah, it was. But here's the thing, though, Ellis. It was cold here today. I mean, I think everyone here agreed. Like at my work, everybody's like, "Man, it's cold." I talked to the people in our Princeton plant. They're Princeton, Illinois, and they were telling me they were having like 3 foot of snow and all this kind of stuff. So even our bad winter isn't that bad. I mean, it was you could get around today. It wasn't
Oh
bad.
yeah. Oh,
It
I
wasn't.
didn't
It
try.
wasn't. There was
I
no.
didn't try to get out today because I knew the only reason I wanted to get out was take my walk, and I decided it'd be too uncomfortable. Yeah,
It was pretty cold.
We got Wim and Fly Fox Pro watching us here.
Oh,
Cool.
cool. It's our regulars, so to speak.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Have you seen this?
So,
Go ahead.
oh, I was just going to ask Dan what else he's worked on, because I
Oh
know he said
gosh,
he did some Tomorrow stuff,
yeah,
or
I've
the.
written for Back Issue Magazine and Retro Fan for them. Let's see, I worked with Comic Book Marketplace. I did about 6 or 7 articles for them. Film Facts Magazine, Scary Monsters Magazine.
Cool.
Um, Comics
Is it?
work. I did a manga for AP called Herc Thor back in 2006. And then I was working for a company out of India called Campfire Graphic Novels. We did adaptions of Jungle Book, Oliver Twist, Robinson Crusoe,
Very
and I did an
cool.
original for them, Sinbad. And then I worked for the Empire Comics Lab. I was the editor and head writer for them, and that was a company that some buddies of mine and I did just try to like get some stuff out there into the marketplace. So
That's cool.
How
then
when you formed this company, did it require uh, you as the vendor, or how much of that became stuff you farmed out to others when it was a company with friends? Was all your printing always farmed out, etc., or not?
Well, we had a business manager that does a lot of conventions. He probably
Mhm.
does about, I think at one point he said he was doing like about 40 cons a year.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
and he was, we didn't have a lot of a big press run. I think the first issue we did was like 150 issues
Well,
of
that's the way to do
Washington.
it, though.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. He took on the lion's share though, and we're trying to get his debt down now a little bit, mainly by doing shows, and I'm hoping to buy some inventory that I can. The last issues we've got just have inventory to take to conventions and such, and then help alleviate what he's accrued. I mean, he took on a lot of this, but we did pretty good. We got 3 issues of Cemetery Plots out, a book called Action Anthology. There's Cemetery Plots number 4, which is done. We're debating about doing the actual comic or rolling it on like a trade and just having that as like bonus material.
Very cool. Hey, did you know Terry Beatty? While you were was he involved with Scary Monsters, or is that another line I'm thinking of that Terry Beatty was involved in?
Oh no. Terry, I actually started writing for Scary Monsters about 3 issues before Terry came in as the artist, the cover artist.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he did the covers. And
Didn't he buy it eventually or something like that?
oh no. It's another Dennis Trukentis, the one who published the magazine. He sold it to a couple out of, I'm trying to remember where they live at now. I think they live in Alabama, I think. But they ended up buying the magazine, and
Okay.
I think I may be one of the few writers that is still writing with them on a regular basis. So. And I came back after about probably like a 10-year absence. I had a couple of ideas I wanted to pitch to them, and they were very receptive, and that was good. So,
Do you typically write stories, or do you write articles about industry, movies, trips down memory lane kind of thing?
I do a combination of everything. The last thing I had published was a piece on Superman and the Mole Men, and I was writing about how I discovered that on VHS and about my memories of watching the George Reeves TV series when I was a kid. But I've done interviews too. One of the first interviews I ever did for Scary Monsters was Keith Wayne. Keith was the actor who was in Night of the Living Dead. He's a young guy who him and his girlfriend get killed with the gas pumps.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep,
And what's funny is that I met him at a convention here in North Carolina. He was working as a chiropractor. And somebody from the convention had a bad back, and somebody said, well, go to my guy. He's really good. So they went, and they were talking about, asked him about, is there anything okay? It seemed like he got a lot of stress. Is everything all right? He's like, yeah, we're putting on this horror convention and everything. It's a real pain in the butt because we're trying to get people, and we're trying to get this and that, and we're trying to get guests. And the guy's like, well, I did a horror movie once. And the guy was like, oh, really? What was it? It was like Night of the Living Dead.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've heard of that.
That's one of the most memorable moments when the girlfriend jumps out and jumps in the cab with him and ruins everything.
I know.
Or at least multiplies how bad things can get.
Yeah, I was gonna say things were bad.
Things were pretty bad when you got zombies tearing down the window frame.
But I've been lucky. I managed to talk to some really, really great folks in the industry. I was talking to a friend of mine, or posted this afternoon about Rico Browning, the actor who played Creature from Black Lagoon.
Is he still alive?
And today is his 93rd birthday.
My God, who else I saw was turning 93 today? Something like that. Man, that's amazing. That guy's still around.
Ellis, you saw Raquel Welch died, didn't you?
That's it. Yeah. She was 82. Well, I mean, that's not only.
Oh, only 82.
Yeah.
Hey,
and of course we made a point of watching on Classic Cinema podcast. We saw 1 million years BC. Yeah. was great.
Yeah.
I remember reading.
what?
Oh,
What?
I'm sorry. Wait.
Oh, I was just going to tell Ellis. I always. Yeah, no. I watched Barbarella since we talked last time.
Uh-huh. Isn't that
Yeah.
great? In its own, I mean,
It's something.
it's something, but I dig it
It's
for what it
yeah. No, no,
is.
no.
It's like so well designed. It more than captures that Euro comic thing that they're trying to put on film than something that's over the top and spent $umpteen million like Valerian. They
Oh
really
yeah,
more
yeah.
capture the fun of it with something like that. They say, okay, we're going to put actors and great little futuristic costumes that are lifted straight from,
I
you
like
know.
the guys wearing the fur suit, and he
Yeah,
takes off his shirt, and he's there. He is a bear.
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
That always
oh my
cracks me up.
gosh, oh my
And
gosh.
he's so stoic, you know. He's like,
Oh yeah,
well, if you would like to do something for me, he's not, you know, his lustful overtures are very straightforward to
very,
Barbarella.
very.
Yes, you could do something for me if you
Yeah,
wish. Yeah,
yeah. I want to see. I'm sorry. Do what, Dan?
No, I was going to say I just like it because it's so different than anything that was being produced at the time. I mean, they were aiming for the fences and trying to do something just
hmm
totally unique.
hmm
I always refer to films like that and like the 1980 Flash Gordon. They were trying for something that was different than everything else that was out at the time, and you can't fault anybody for trying to be their own doing something that stands out. So
yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Or in ignoring what they know will ruin it. Like say that Stephen Pressfield book I'm reading right now is like these guys have got a relationship going with Dino De Laurentiis, but they get a hold of a good script and they say, no, we can't show this to Dino because he'll ruin it within 10 minutes. You know, and he has that, you know, schlockmeister reputation. He'd attach himself and supply money for really good movies, but if it was some
Uh-oh.
did we lose him?
I don't know. Did we lose Ellis? I can still hear you, Dan. I can't hear Ellis.
I
I don't think we lost.
I think the picture's frozen.
Oh, his picture is frozen.
Okay.
Oh no. Well, we'll soldier on without him. I don't know. That's because he's the host, so I don't know if he'll come back in or not.
Oh,
I think
I'm
we're
sure he will.
still. Yeah, he'll manage.
That will take
Anyway.
over the podcast. It's like,
Exactly, just like pirates.
hey, me laddie, I'm the captain now. Hey.
So okay. So next week I'm going down to San Antonio, and you
Huh?
think I should reach out to Ben Dunn?
I would. I'll be honest with you. I would invite him out to lunch. I'd just say, you know, is there a good Chinese place around, you know, some place with a buffet so you guys like sit and talk?
Yeah. I don't. Ellis dropped out of the feed. I don't know if he'll come back in. I don't know if he can. It's still going. I don't know if we're. Well, no, we are still broadcasting because I have a TV in front of me. I'm watching on YouTube.
Okay.
We'll carry on. We usually go till for an hour, so we'll carry on. I don't know. I don't know if he can come back in. He probably can.
I was gonna say, I guess we just. Well, I don't know. Usually these things are set up for like certain times, so he may have it set for like an hour or so.
No, we'll run over occasionally, so I know there's not a set time, but we'll see. We'll just since it's going, we'll just see, and we'll continue going. And then if he doesn't come back in the next, I think about 5 or 10 minutes, then we'll end it, and then I'll reach out to him and say, hey, we recorded without you, but at least this way it'll be up on his YouTube because we do usually get a few views afterwards.
Meanwhile, for
So
you folks tuning
okay,
in, it's live, and anything could happen because the boss isn't here.
yeah,
So.
exactly. Without a net. So if you just tuned in, of course I'm Scott Sackett's Dan Johnson. We're working on a comic called The Black Cricket. I'm drawing pages. Dan is here chatting with me while I draw. Ellis has dropped out, so if you came just to see Ellis, I'm sorry. I don't know what happened, if he lost his connection or what, but his picture froze and then he got out. So I'm assuming that it froze and he realized it froze and then he tried to get out and he may not be able to get back in. And I don't see any way for me to let him back in, so whatever. But okay, so you think I should? Okay, I will reach out to Ben. Somebody was telling me they didn't think he lived in San Antonio, but I think he does.
I don't know if he lives in San Antonio, but I know he goes to the. I remember he was talking about when they were having that wintry mix. He was. I saw him posting on Facebook about working from the house, and then going in the office he was able to.
Right. So they're headquartered at San Antonio. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely reach out to him. I was kind of waiting until after this, since we're leaving next Thursday. I was kind of waiting until after, and so I could be like, hey, Saturday, and no confusion about which Saturday or which Friday I'm gonna be in town. So probably this weekend I'll shoot him a message. I don't think I have his email. I'll shoot it via Facebook Messenger and just say, hey, because I looked on their website, on Antarctic's website, and they say, hey, if you're in town, let us know and we'll give you a tour, which would be cool because I've toured Marvel Comics twice and I've toured Valiant Comics twice. So it'd be cool to have another another publisher, especially if it's a publisher that may end up publishing our comic, man.
Yes.
That would be cool.
I would take him the Black Cricket stuff you've got and just let him take a look at it and see what he thinks.
I'm going to. I did. So on page 1, I photoshopped the backgrounds together. So I'll take printouts. I'll take some printouts to leave with him and just say, hey, I'm working on this and, yeah, I mean, that's what I did when I went to Marvel. Valiant it was kind of a group thing after New York Comic Con. You could sign up and they'd just walk a group of people over to their offices, which was pretty cool, but they're right by the Javits Center. So what's the plan for Black Cricket? I know you've sent me 2 10-page scripts, like chapters.
Mm-hmm.
And you said there's a third.
I'm working on that now, yeah.
Okay, so what's the plan, Dan?
Well, the original idea that Halter and I were talking about, Kevin Halter is the inker who's going to be doing Scott's pencils.
Yes.
We were originally talking about doing this as a digital drive-through comic, where we could release chapters when they become available for digital download. Okay. But honestly, at this point, I'd be willing to talk to Antarctic Press and see if they'd be interested in running the series. And I saw where he wants to expand the Superverse, and he was talking about they've already picked up some books. And I'm like, if we could do it, I would love to see if we could turn this into a monthly comic book, even if it was just a miniseries.
Dude, that would be so awesome. I'd want to work ahead a little bit. Obviously, I mean, I work a full-time job. But not what really slowed me down on Heaven's Rejects was inking. So working with an inker, I think I could do. I mean, 4 pages a week would not be unreasonable. I don't think. That would be an easy thing for me to do on an average week. And so, I'd have to, like I said, I'd have to work ahead and stuff. But if Kevin was willing, I would definitely, and if it was like in arcs or something like that, I would be cool with that. One thing, it's funny, I was talking to another friend of mine on my Friday podcast. I was talking to my friend, and I was telling him how one of the things about comics now versus in the old days was, man, if you read, because I've been reading old Avengers, man, there's full of subplots. And I think they've lost that in comics because everybody writes for the trade now, So I don't know if I don't know if that's on your radar or something you've thought about or whatever, but I mean, I know you're just kind of ramping it up right now. Um, it's hard to say.
I got two words for you. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
good.
Well,
I mean,
I was going to say, I don't want to give away too much to anyone who's watching, but
sure.
the second chapter, there's a crime committed in the second chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Something has gone down that is very shady, and when you read the chapter, you'll see what happened. But it does involve a rival tech company, and basically, this is going to be like the major rival with the company. And when the CEO shows up to meet our character for the first time, this is where his life's going to get turned upside down.
Okay. Cool.
This is believe me, there's subplots galore going on here. And well, I don't want to give away too much, but no.
No. Save it for the book. Save it for the book.
Yeah.
For sure. I wanted to show you one thing before we hung up or whatever, because we're about out of time. It looks like Ellis isn't coming back. I was going to show you this.
Yeah.
So this is the Dark Phoenix saga, the trade. Now this is one I bought this in '86. I think I was just out of high school and I was getting ready to get married. And at one point, because my comics were at my parents' house, and there was no trade paperbacks back then, so it was all my long boxes were my parents' house because we had a room in our apartment. So this was the only comic I had, and I carried this with me. I've carried this book all through art school, in my backpack, all through my job. You can see how rounded the corners are, and I put a plastic cover on it. And I mean, this is, because to me, this is kind of the pinnacle of comics, or at least at one point. I know you talked about Spider-Man, that sort of thing, but when I was a kid, this was it, man. This is what I lived and died for, comic book wise. But recently, I got it signed by John Byrne and Chris Claremont.
Nice.
So this copy that stays on my desk, I don't carry this in my bag anymore, but I bought an identical copy off of eBay that I still carry in my bag. And I've always thought this is the kind of comics that I wanted to draw. And and I know that Black Cricket is its own thing, but it's that, like I said, I've always wanted to work a superhero comic. And I love Spider-Man, and I love all the Marvel stuff, and to me this feels like a Marvel book. I know that we're trying to market it to AP, and I know that Kevin is kind of giving my inks or my pages kind of a manga flair. Perfectly fine. Man, I'm ecstatic. That's all I can say. I'm excited to be on the comic. I'm excited to be part of the team. And I can't wait to see where this goes, and it's cool, it's fun. I hope it goes for many months.
Well, I was going to say, like I said, I've been reading comic books since I was 7 years old, so I've been reading them for 45 years, and I like to think this is going to be combining the best of everything that I love about comic books. It's got
Sure.
the Marvel Comics feel. But as far as like the manga feel, it's more along the lines of character arcs. One of the things I love about the manga books, and again, you don't get it in a lot of American comic books these days, is when a character is introduced nowadays, they're to quote some critics, they're the bestest ever. They're the best characters.
Oh yeah.
Black Cricket is going to make some mistakes. He's going to screw up a couple of times, and this is the hero's journey. Is basically you've got a character that is going to be very awkward outside of the suit, and he's going to grow as a character, hopefully. But like I said, if you love Marvel comics from the 70s and the 80s and the Silver Age, there's something in there. Black Cricket's got something for you. If you love DC comics from the 70s, like The Flash, Carrie Bates's run, the Rogues from the Silver Age, there's something in there for you. If you love the complex storytelling of manga, there's something in there for you. If you just love good comic books, you're going to love Black Cricket. I hope. I sincerely hope you will.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll give it a good go for sure. And
Oh, yeah.
I really appreciate you reaching out to me again. Like you said earlier, I don't think anything happens by accident.
Nope.
There's certainly divine providence in things, and I'm grateful that this is working out, and I'm having fun drawing them, and hopefully you're having fun writing them, and hopefully that fun will be showing the books.
And I'm gonna. You were talking about not getting rich off of this. I'm gonna say it right now. Black Cricket, the motion picture by 2050.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go. Sounds good. Okay, Dan, I'm gonna let you go because we've ran over a few minutes. I have to go hang up laundry, but thanks for coming on. I'm sure Ellis would say you're welcome anytime, and I look forward to talking to you again. And hopefully we'll when this comes out, we'll be able to meet up at a convention.
I would love that, man. We have to get you to the Heroes Con. It's the largest Heroes Con.
Oh, yeah.
Largest in the Southeast. Dude, you will love it.
Oh yeah, I've always wanted to go for sure. Yeah, well, definitely. Maybe that'll be. But yes, we'll try and make that happen.
Sounds
okay.
Good,
well, okay. If Ellis was here, he would sign off and he would say, Dan, do you have anything you want to promote before we go?
Well, actually, I do. If you're reading Anarchic Press Comics, Exciting Comics number 31, we have a feature in that issue called Atomic Blonde. I did the scripting on it for a buddy of mine who is his character, Daniel Gorman, and Kevin, who's inking you, did the coloring and the lettering. They'll hopefully be out in a couple of weeks.
Cool. Sounds awesome.
Also,
okay.
I was going to say, also, if you pick up the next issue of Back Issue, which is coming out in March, I did an interview with Gerard Christopher and Stacey Haydick of the Superboy series. So,
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Dan, I'm going to sign off. I'm assuming that when we leave, this will quit recording.
I think so.
But,
otherwise,
yeah, I think so. Yeah, we'll get really quiet if not. But anyway, thanks for being on, and thanks for everything. Thank you for all the kind words, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Okay.
Thank you, you and Ellis, for having me, man. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you later, man. Talk to you soon.
Okay. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.